John Calvin on Psalm 89, verses 36 through 45. His seed shall endure forever, and his throne as the sun before me. It shall be established forever as the moon, and as a faithful witness in heaven. Selah. But thou hast cast off and abhorred. Thou hast been wroth with thine anointed. Thou hast made void the covenant of thy servant. Thou hast profaned his crown by casting it to the ground. Thou hast broken down all his hedges. Thou hast brought his strongholds to ruin. All that pass by the way spoil him. He is a reproach to his neighbours. Thou hast set up the right hand of his adversaries. Thou hast made all his enemies to rejoice. Thou hast also turned the edge of his sword, and hast not made him to stand in the battle. Thou hast made his glory to cease, and cast his throne down to the ground. The days of his youth hast thou shortened. Thou hast covered him with shame. Selah. His line will continue forever, and his throne endure before me like the sun. It will be established forever like the moon. There now follows the promise that the right of sovereignty shall always remain with the posterity of David. These two things, his offspring and his throne, are conjoined, and by these words the everlasting duration of the kingdom is promised. The sun and the moon are produced as witnesses, for although they are creatures subject to corruption, they yet possess more stability than the earth or air, the elements, as we see, being subject to continual changes. As the whole of this lower world is subject to unceasing agitation and change, there is presented to us a more steadfast state of things in the sun and moon, that the kingdom of David might not be estimated according to the common order of nature. Since, however, this royal throne was shaken in the time of Rehoboam, and afterwards broken down and overthrown, it follows that this prophecy cannot be limited to David. For although at length the outward majesty of this throne was put to an end, to without hope of being re-established, the sun ceased not to shine by day, nor the moon by night. Accordingly, until we come to Christ, God might seem to be unfaithful to his promises. But in the branch which sprung up from the root of Jesse, these words were fulfilled in their fullest sense. You have cut short the days of his youth. When the prophet complains that the issue does not correspond with the promise, or it is not such as the promise led the chosen people to expect, he does not, on the account, charge God with falsehood, but brings forward his apparent discrepancy for another purpose, to encourage himself from the consideration of the divine promises, to come to the throne of grace with the greater confidence and boldness. And while he urged this difficulty before God, he was fully persuaded that it was impossible for him not to show himself faithful to his word. As the majority of men drink up their sorrow and keep it to themselves because they despair of deriving any benefit from prayer, so true believers, the more frankly and familiarly they appeal to God in reference to his promises, the more valiantly do they wrestle against their distrust and encourage themselves in the hope of a favorable issue.